I'm Dr. Kimberly Manning.
And this is Dr. Ashley McMullen. And you're listening to the Human Doctor Podcast, where we explore the human side of medicine, along with teaching, living, learning, and all things in between. Using the power of storytelling, conversation, and connectedness.
Hey, we're two dope academic internal medicine doctors, but we ain't your doctors. So if you perceive anything we say here as medical advice, no, it ain't that. Also, the things we say, they only reflect our brilliant Black woman magic mind and not our employers.
You could have been anywhere, y'all, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate you. Let's go. Well, welcome back. I know you've been traveling.
I have been traveling. I had a little travel. It wasn't a gigantic travel, but I did go to one of my favorite cities in the US, Philly. I don't want to live in Philly, but any opportunity I get to visit Philadelphia, I'm trying to take it. I love Philly.
Shout out to the Eagles.
Yeah, shout out to the Eagles. That's actually part of the spirit of Philly too. Like when you walk through Philly, people be repping them Eagles, like hardcore. And I'm here for it. I'm just here for like, I don't know, a hardcore fan base. I'm here for people that's just, direct and all up in your face. I don't know, Philly. And every time I go there, I find some new little pocket of it that I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Oh man, see, I got to get out there. It's been too long.
They have some good bookstores too.
I've heard. Yes.
Have you heard of Uncle Bobby's?
I don't think so. Is it Black owned?
It is Black owned.
Maybe you've told me about this. Yeah.
It's not, it don't have all the things that Cleo's got up in it. Wink, wink, if you know what I mean.
I know, but everybody can't be perfect. Yes.
But it's got a real nice vibe.
Okay.
Love it. Love it. Well, how are you and Mahalia doing today on a scale of 1 to 5? First, your number, then her.
I was about to say, I was going to do it anyway, because I feel like we might be on different pages today. Because I'm probably, 4.6, 4.7. Mahalia might be a 4.4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like I'm doing good. I think it's these mornings that can sometimes be a little stressful when you got so many balls in the air trying to figure out what to do next. But, Mahalia, in terms of her priorities, is wondering when I'm going to take these braids out. Because she's just like, my edges right now looking a little rough, and she's wanting some TLC. So it's not happening this morning, but it will happen a morning this week.
Well, the good news is that you did not get really small braids. So they will come out pretty easily and it'll feel good. Give her a little massage.
Exactly. I'm actually looking forward to that part because, usually it's like a whole process, but yeah, this is going to be quick and easy. And then, it'll be good to see her again.
I love it. I love it. Well, I like her with the little hint of purple there. It's spicy.
It's been a good look, but it's time to move on.
Well, baby Jules, today, baby Jules might be, I don't know, this angle looked pretty good right now. Baby Jules like a 4.8 today.
Okay.
Yeah. The porosity of my hair that is not gray is different than the porosity of my hair that is gray. And like gray hair is a different kind of dry from the kind of part of your hair that's not gray. So it's just interesting, like wrestling against two types of hair on one hair. It's wild.
That's fascinating.
It is fascinating. It is fascinating. So sometimes I'm like, baby Jules, I would rather you just gone and be all the way gray or, whatever, make up your mind. But she kind of cute. We getting used to being short again.
Yeah, she is cute.
Yeah, she's cute. I'm like a 4.8 today. I'm a high number, but I'm not a full on 5. I have a lot to do today. I was traveling, as you know, yesterday. I was at the University of Pennsylvania at the Perelman School of Medicine, where I was there for an amazing lecture that is the 44th annual, I think it's the Mossell lectureship. I should know that. But the 44th annual lectureship at Penn, and that has been given by the likes of David Satcher, Vivian Penn, some really heavy hitters. So I'm
Hmm.
really proud to be like in that lineup. And received a warm welcome, got to hang out with some medical students, got to see some of my favorite people in the Philly area. And the other really cool thing was that I encountered some people who listened to our podcast.
Oh, cool.
And the division chief at the University of Pennsylvania in general medicine was deeply, deeply moved by your story last week.
Mm.
So, I know UCSF is good to you, but hey, you got a fan in general medicine, the University of Pennsylvania. So, hey, UCSF, don't be messing up because, she got fans out here at whole big old institutions. You might get recruited. I don't know.
I appreciate that. Yes,
Can I
yes.
keep that in?
Yes. Like you out here trying to get me in trouble. I love it. I love it.
Ashley did not say she wants to leave. I was just saying that, it's kind of like when you walking down the street with your boo and somebody kind of cranes their neck at them. You
Hmm.
need to, they still got it.
Yeah, no.
So act like you know.
I'm here for it.
That's
Well, thank
that's
you. And shout
that's
out
the
to the listeners at Penn. I really appreciate the feedback.
That's right. That's really what I was trying to say. People all in Philadelphia be listening to the Human Doctor podcast.
Amen to that.
Anything new I need to know about?
I think one quick point I will make, which I'm sure has been shouted out before, but I gotta just give an extra note of appreciation to all the physical therapists in the world. I saw one for myself for the first time yesterday. Because as I've told you, but I don't think it's made it onto the podcast, I am embarking on my first full marathon journey coming up in a few months. And one of my friends who's got several marathons under her belt, I was asking her for some advice. And what she said was get a physical therapist now. Don't wait
Mm,
until an injury occurs.
mm.
And so I did. And it was a really, really informative process. Like I really respected the detail in which they go into, and even just to like look at your gait, how you're running. And this physical therapist was specifically specialized in runners and running injuries. And I just like I got a lot of good like tips and tricks and like things that we're going to work on to make sure that, I'm able to show up as best I can. So I'm loving all the PTs and what they do for us.
I think that is a great shout out. People absolutely completely snooze on not just physical therapy, but also occupational therapy. And let's be clear, I know there's speech therapy and all sorts of others, but allow us just for a moment to center on this group. When I think about my hospitalized patients and how much we rely upon physical therapy to help us make a therapeutic decision about discharge, that's one piece. And then I think, as you know, and I think for the sake of transparency and for the fact that I know people of many ages listen to this, I also had physical therapy about a year ago, and I went to pelvic floor physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to pretend like I did not need pelvic floor physical therapy, but I had two kids who were each over 8.5 pounds, and I was absolutely astounded by what I learned, how hard it was,
Mm-hmm.
also how much it did for my overall symptoms and function. Um, so shout out, yes, like
Mm-hmm.
10 times, 11 times, 12 times to physical therapists. Shout out to those who specialize in helping runners and athletes achieve their best. And also shout out to the ones who have like other areas of expertise. If your doctor's trying to send you to physical therapy, do not poo-poo them because I know
Mm-hmm.
I'm that person. It's like
Mm-hmm.
my doctor tried to send me to pelvic floor physical therapy, and I said, and I quote, Ain't nobody got time to pay money for some advanced Kegel exercises. That's literally what I told my doctor. And she said that is all the more reason why you need to go to see this physical therapist because clearly you underestimate
Mm,
that people get an entire degree in this, and this is what they do.
yes.
I stand corrected.
Hmm.
Go get pelvic PT, go get regular PT, go get runner PT, go get the PT.
All the PT.
All the PT. Yes, yes.
Well, on that note, let us move forward to the thing we are actually going to do today on this dear episode, which is tell some stories, specifically stories from the archive that is long and deep and beautiful within the mind of the Dr. Kimberly Manning. I am excited because I know this is a story that I have not heard before. And I know it's going to be good because everything you tell is good. So let me not belabor the point because I know you have a what in mind already.
The what is timing.
Timing. Beautiful.
Timing. You know, timing can be a lot of things. It can be, when people say, "Oh, that was perfect timing," but I am talking about when the timing is not right for something, but
Mm,
somebody does it anyway. Because we all know that if you do something at the wrong time, it doesn't matter how earnest you were and how great your intentions were, um, it's not going to come out the way you want it to. So I'm going to take you back to probably about 1998.
ooh, okay.
Going all the way back. I was in residency. And as a reminder, I did combined internal medicine and pediatrics residency training. In sort of the junior year component of my training, we spent a fair amount of time in intensive care units, like many junior residents do. And one big piece of that for me was in the pediatric intensive care unit. Of all of the places of my training, I can think of no place that terrified me more than the pediatric intensive care unit.
Mm,
See, the medical intensive care unit was hard, but the frequency with which people coded and stuff like that, you got kind of proficient at it. You know how to code people after a while. But children don't be coding like the way that adults do. So they also have different like body sizes and stuff like that. So when something happens where a child arrests or is critically ill, it is like it almost feels like unless you do it every day, you starting from scratch. Because like if you had a kid admitted to your service who was 12 months old, and then the next night you were on call, you had a kid admitted to your service that was 6. That is like night and day.
mhm.
Calculations are different. The way you consider everything is different. Some things are a little bit different about physiology. It's just a lot going on. So, fortunately, we had fairly good supervised instruction. And by fairly good, I mean there was no fellow who stayed all night with you. But the nurses in the pediatric intensive care unit were top notch. They had been there for a while, they knew what to do. I had done a few months there already as an intern, so I knew them. They trusted me. We had a great relationship. It was good. And when I was a resident, oftentimes when I was on call, I was one of those people that always got action on call. People have different names for calling
Mhm.
that, but either way, I was a person who never had these calls where it was just idle or you chilling in the call room watching TV. Never. It was always on and popping. And this day was no different. But the crappy thing about this day is that it was on a Monday night. And the significance of that is that my clinic was on what I used to refer to as Black Tuesday, which is me because black is beautiful. My clinic was an afternoon clinic every single Tuesday. And that didn't matter if you were on call, not on call, post call, whatever. Back then, you went to clinic no matter what. That didn't move. If you were on another rotation, if you were in an emergency department, you could work a 12-hour shift. Your clinic at 1 o'clock, you needed to be there for that clinic. They had nothing to do with that. So I was going into this night with an idea in my head, and you know me, I love it when a plan comes together. So I'm like, all right, here's how this is gonna go. I know I'm gonna get hazed all night. I'm gonna be efficient. I'm gonna be ready for rounds. We are gonna finish rounds no later than 10:45. I will have already written all my notes. I am going to go to the call room. I am going to take my contact lenses out. I am going to take a strong power nap. And at about 12:05, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go to resident conference because I got to show my face there because that's mandate too. And then I'm going to go to clinic. I had hosted, I had to plan. And a 1 hour nap that's uninterrupted was
Hmm.
that was something.
Yep.
So I'm on this call and I'm taking the call and usually in the PICU one admission is enough to keep you busy all night. But on this night, I got three admissions. And it was three admissions with me and an intern, the nurses there, and then the rest of the, like, I don't know how many other kids were in the PICU, like three or four other kids. They were active. It was active things happening with all of them. But, my intern was good. We slugged it out. And even when I got a little overwhelmed, I called the floor senior and call them over and be like, hey, I'm gonna need some help over here. And I had help from my co-senior, and we slugged it out. We took excellent care of the patients. The nurses were satisfied. The families were cool. Everybody made it through the night. I was, of course, in contact with my attending and my fellow all night, but it was okay. I did not get a wink of sleep though. And remember, I had gotten to work that day at like, 6:30 a.m. or 6 a.m. or whatever time you start your day. Rounds the next morning were at 7. So every day we would, round from 7 to like about 7:45. 7:45, we would go to resident report. Um, Somebody would present one of the patients from overnight, usually from the regular floor teams. And then we would go back and finish rounding. But the culture there was that everybody went to morning report, including our attendings. No problem. I stayed up and I wrote all my notes, and this was paper notes. So I had them all ready to go. I had them in a little folder. I'm like, boom, my attending's gonna add some stuff. I'm gonna edit it. It's gonna be tight. And it worked out. I had me some coffee. I was ready. I even had taken a little quick shower.
Man,
I'm gonna be
you was
ready.
on it.
I'm gonna be ready. So my attending shows up, and this attending was one of these people that loved, loved, loved to do Socratic teaching. Loved it. But when he arrived, the nurse, the charge nurse said immediately, she said, Kimberly did not get one wink of sleep. She was on her feet, thinking and working and calculating doses and managing these patients all night. And she kind of said it with a chuckle. She deserves a gold star. Now, this is Cleveland, Ohio. Midwest nurses, they don't be throwing out compliments like that. And the other nurse was like, yeah, they really went hard and shouted out my intern too. We are like, okay, cool, cool. And then the same nurse who's advocating for me says, and she has clinic today.
Mm.
So, let's try to be efficient, everybody. Because so she's letting the nurses know, don't be asking a bunch of questions. Let's keep it moving. Let's move through these kids. Let's get through as many as we can so that, we can do as much as we can before you all go to report. We go to the first kid and I'm presenting and my attending starts asking me questions. He's like, so what's the mechanism of action of Ativan? Why Ativan? Da, da, da. So I'm like, well, it's a benzodiazepine. It this up. So of the benzodiazepines, like list them shortest acting to longest acting. And then he's like, so physiologically speaking, um, why is it that the heart rate increases when such and such? He's just asking me all of these like physiology questions. He's not asking me things I don't know, but it's very difficult to retrieve it because I'm tired and I'm anxious. I'm anxious for us to move along so that I can stay on this plan I have in my head.
Mm.
And we spent the first 45 minutes on that first patient, and then we went to report. And In report, I, I get this idea like, okay, I'm gonna present one of the patients from the unit in report because that's going to let my attending hear it and then we can just pick up. So I do that thinking we gonna like kind of scoot through that one. No, we get back over to the PICU and it's the same thing. He's asking me all these extraneous questions like, oh, so what are your criteria for a left anterior vesicular hemiblock? I'm like, what? What are my criteria? I don't have any. Like I don't know pediatric EKGs like that. He's like, oh, you can't be in ICU and not know pediatric ECGs that
Oh,
way. Now remember, these senior nurses been working with this attending for years. Like, oh, come on, doc. That's not something people just walk around knowing. Come on, come on. It's like this is a senior resident. This is something that she should know. I think it's reasonable for her to know this. He keeps quizzing me, patient after patient. Now, me, I'm trying to answer the questions. I'm trying to make sure that I save face. I had already been asked to be chief resident, so now he's like, and she's going to be chief resident. She should know this stuff.
mm,
So, like, it's just a whole lot of stuff happening. But I keep watching the clock. We go to a room, and I'm like, okay, it is 9:40. In my head, I needed to be done with this by 10:45 because that's the only way I can get some sleep. We have 5 kids to go. The clock hits 10:15 and I'm realizing that unless a miracle happens, there's no way I'm going to get up out of here. And there's no way I'm going to get any rest. But you know how when you hold out for a miracle, so you could really still think, well, maybe if all the rest of the patients are 3 minutes each, you know what I mean?
yep.
So right as it gets to be like 10:25, I start presenting this patient and I try to say it really quickly. I'm like, this is this. Da, 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 da. The nurse is like, that sounds good. I think that sounds good. That's about what. And he goes, well. So let's unpack this a little bit.
Oh, God.
And right as he started on his soliloquy, I looked at the clock and it was 10:45. And I still had 2 more patients to go. And he asked me another question, and I just looked at the floor, and tears just start falling out of my eyes in sheets.
Mm,
And I was just shaking my head. I said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, sir. I don't know. I am so tired. I just, please, sir, if there's any way that I can just tell you what happened with these patients last night, if there's just any way that I can do that so that we can just finish rounding, that would be really, really, really great. And he looked at me and he was like, uh, I'm not asking you to do anything that was never asked of me when I was in training. He was like, you came to residency voluntarily. This is what you wanted. Well, this is what residency looks like. We are charged with taking care of children, and my job is to make sure that you know what you're doing. And part of that is that this is a teaching hospital, and that will involve teaching. And I was like, but with all due respect, sir, this is not a teachable moment. I can't even think straight. I'm so tired, and I have clinic at 1. And I absolutely have to be in clinic at 1. And I have to be in conference no later than 12:15 to sign in. And I'm being honest, I've just
mhm.
lost all impulse control. And he does not care. He was like, I think this is not appropriate. This response is not appropriate. You're a senior resident and you're a leader. And you're modeling this in front of the intern. He was like, every moment is a teachable moment in a teaching hospital. I hope you know that. And all my inside of my heart, I was screaming. That is not true. Every moment is not a teachable moment. Sometimes the teachable moment is for us to just take care of the patient and to be efficient.
Mhm.
We finished rounding at 12:05.
Oh, God.
I went to the car room, changed out of my scrubs into my clinic clothes because we couldn't wear scrubs to clinic. Went to conference, signed in conference, And as a rising chief resident, there was no me falling asleep in the back. I couldn't do that. I'm a role model now. And I was walking to clinic and I was like weeping. I was so tired and so mad at him. And you know what? It was reflected in my evaluation.
Mm,
It was reflected in my evaluation that I was weak. Like he was surprised that I had been pointed out for a leadership role when under duress I could not handle stress. And while he knows that I don't want to do pediatric intensive care, it was disheartening. It was just all these words used. It was not a positive evaluation.
mm,
And one thing I do thank him for now is that I have never, ever, ever forgotten about somebody continuing to talk when the teachable moment was over.
mm, mm, mm,
And every team I've been on ever since has heard me say, efficiency is sometimes the teachable moment. Today is Saturday. Our team is non-admitting. We have only 9 patients to see, and it is a beautiful day. And your team and you guys aren't on codes. The teachable moment today is going to be for us to take excellent care of patients efficiently to allow you to get back into some wellness activity and afford those who are charged with staying here to care for patients in the hospital all weekend for them to do that while you go fill your cup. And I have never once had anybody push back and say, no, no, ask me about benzodiazepines. Oh,
oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. The way the nurses in the ICU had your back
oh, they
on
were.
rounds, that is unheard of.
Yeah, I like one thing I will say is that ICU nurses who are really, really seasoned ones,
Hmm.
they meet the attendings at a place of like peer.
Hmm.
Like they don't like talk up to them like, oh, you're on
Hmm.
high. I don't know if you saw that, you've seen that TV show, The Pit.
Oh no, I won't watch it.
Oh, well, there's a charge nurse there, and her
Hmm.
interactions with the lead attending are
Hmm.
very much like respectful peer
Yeah.
interactions. And I feel like that nurse felt like nobody else can advocate for this person
Mm,
but me because I was here.
I love that. I'm grateful that by the time I was in that position, once we've been up for 30 hours, then it's mandatory that you at least have some time off, meaning like, you go home for the day and then you come back the next day. But, I'm hearing this and I'm picturing all of those attendings who really, it's very clear that when they're speaking and a lot of them are genuinely like great teachers, like genuinely want to teach, but it's done so in a way that really has no respect for your time, for your well-being, and it's all about them needing to project a certain agenda.
Yeah, because there's what it is I want to teach, and there's what it is I want you to learn.
Mm,
And I think that the best educators focus on the latter, not the former. This attending was focused on what he wanted to teach, not what or how we could learn. And fortunately, that's another thing that's changed a lot more. When I think about people like you, people like Jennifer Spicer, like Gurpreet Dhaliwal, some of these really great clinician educators out there who are really giving a lot of thought to how adults learn and how to make things stick. That's a great place that the medical education culture has evolved to. That wasn't a part of that back then. And I actually do not think he was like, I think he was dead serious when he
yeah.
said, "You signed up for this. What you mean? What you mean you got clinic?" And I didn't even have the words to say, I like my patients in my clinic. I
Hmm.
want to be able to give them my attention.
Right.
I don't want to like make a mistake or do something wrong. And again, this was at a time, Ash, when you would go to clinic, you might see 4 patients, and then like somebody would just sign off on them if you were a senior. Like they weren't even signing you out. So much has changed in terms of safety,
Yeah.
but it is still people out here in these medical education streets talking and talking and talking when the teachable moment is over and the timing is not good.
I know the folks who are in residency who are listening to this right now are like literally screaming amen and hallelujah because, it's a hard thing to convey, especially when you're the trainee. You're just in a very different headspace, and to be able to actually advocate and say like, I appreciate what you're doing, but I cannot receive this right now. It's
Yeah.
hard.
It's funny. When I was telling the story, I was like on the tip edge of crying at one
Mm,
point. And it was because it was so disrespectful and I didn't have any agency. And I realized something. I don't want anybody that's working with me to not have any agency. I
mm,
don't want that. I don't want my patients to have no agency. I don't want my learners to have no agency. I don't want their families either to have no agency. You get a say. And we can talk it out. But he was so appalled by my reaction. And then to double down on it and put it in writing.
yeah.
And it wasn't really until many, many years later that I thought he was wrong.
Wow.
I think that's the most sad part about that story. I thought he was right. Maybe I shouldn't be a chief resident. Not because I'm not smart enough, but um, am I lazy? Is there something about me that makes me not prioritizing being here for, 38 hours straight? Like,
Hmm.
is that make me like not somebody that should be doing this?
Hmm.
And it just took a long time for me to realize that no, I was for lack of a better word, I was a victim in that moment. And sadly, he was too, because he was a victim of a culture that had taught him that this is how you train people.
Right.
It was hazing.
Yeah, that's exactly the word that was coming to mind. I was just like, it's like this way in which you get kind of indoctrinated into, what's normal. And if you can't handle it, then you are the problem.
And we need psychological safety because I want to be very clear. I don't want anybody hearing this to think that there isn't a time when somebody's like, no, you need to do your work. There is a time when that happens, but I was not psychologically safe at all. I really snapped on rounds. That's what happened.
Mm,
I just reached my breaking point when the clock struck 10:45 and I knew my plan was not going to work and that I was going to be awake from 6 a.m. the day before to probably 6 p.m. the following day. I knew that there was no chance for a nap unless it happened like against my will. I think that we do this thing where we start creating all these excuses and trying to figure out like why this is, when really it is that I wish I just had the kind of relationship with my attending where at the very beginning he'd ask me a question, how are you today? Right? And then I could have said back to him, sir, it was a good night. We worked together really well, but I didn't sleep and I'm actually in clinic at 1. I don't know if it's possible, but if there's any way that, we could kind of tackle my new admissions first. But there was no rhyme or reason. They didn't do mine first, nothing like that.
yeah.
And everybody was expected to stay there. We walked in and we just got down to work. And he asked the nurses how they were doing. That's why the nurse was able to advocate for me.
Mm,
He didn't ask me nothing about me. And maybe nobody asked him about him. Maybe. I don't know. Either way, that was
mm.
not cool.
It breaks my heart. And I also like, now that I'm in a position of being a clinician educator and, often forgetting what it's like to be a resident, particularly when coming into clinic, while they're also on a busy rotation. I have to remember what it is that I needed when I was a resident. And that's why I'm so appreciative of the story, and also that you are one of our leaders in med ed.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yep. Yep. every moment is not a teachable moment. And timing is very important
Yes.
if you want something to stick. And, to the educators out there, ask yourself, what do I want these folks to learn? Not what do I just want to teach?
Mm.
And if you're talking to somebody, what do I want you to hear versus what do I just want to say?
Whew.
Well, I'm told that our executive producer got things to do.
Speaking of timing.
Speaking of timing, but sis, I love you immensely, and I'm glad that the timing worked out where I met you close to this time of year,
Yeah.
years back. Just really, really grateful for the psychologically safe space that we found that allows us to, connect on a deep level, but also admit that we needed pelvic floor physical therapy.
Thank you again. I love you. And yeah, until next time. That wraps up this week's episode of the Human Doctor Podcast.
Special thanks to our favorite brother gastroenterologist, Dr. Chuma Obiname, for the beats. Shout out to the Dr. Ashley McMullen for editing and production.
Mad love to our podcast family at The Nocturnist and the Clinical Problem Solvers, our Med Twitter fam.
And especially shout out to all of you, our listeners.
Until next week, remember,
we see you and you are enough. Holla!